Hello, my name is Dr. John Kennedy. I'm the Medical Director at Therapy Fertility. July 25th is an important day for us. It marks three different occasions. It's World IVF Day, celebrating the birth of the first IVF baby, Louise Brown. It's World Embryology Day, for exactly the same reason. And coincidentally, it's also our birthday. We opened on July 25th, 2021, and we've been trading and working with patients to achieve pregnancies since then. So it's a big deal for us. So in order to just celebrate that and celebrate that with you, today I'm having a chat with Carol Loscher, our lab manager, who looks after eggs, sperm, embryos, and all those kind of things in the lab. We often get asked what the embryologist's role is in the organisation. And I'd love to say that an IVF clinic or any fertility clinic is the doctor because we're brilliant and we're so important. And the truth is, it's not. Everything that's not the lab is an appendage. The doctors, the nurses, the coordinators, everything. We are all just add-ons to the central core work that a fertility clinic does, all of which happens in the controlled environment that is the laboratory. And that is where success lives and fails. So what they do and the work they do is absolutely critical. They are the unsung heroes of fertility. They're generally not patient-facing. They don't have a huge amount of patient contact, but they are responsible for your success. They are the ones who are responsible for the live births. So I'm delighted to have the opportunity to talk to Carol here today. And without further ado, let's get into it.
Yeah.
Hey, Carol.
Hi.
What's an embryologist?
So it's one of these. It's a science career, of course. But it's one of the lesser known kind of fields, I guess, that we kind of get into. But it's a fascinating career. It's a fascinating position to hold, and I think everyone that works as an embryologist within an IVF lab just feels very passionate and very proud to be an embryologist. I think that's like there's a huge fulfillment that you get from being able to help patients conceive and be able to assist them on their journey. So an embryologist, to break it down, I guess it's the kind of the working part of an IVF clinic where we have eggs coming into us from egg collections. We have sperm, obviously, that's produced and provided by male patients, or we have donor sperm as well as an alternative. And it's putting the eggs and the sperm together and creating embryos. And then obviously looking at those embryos as they progress over the 5 to 6 days and identifying the embryos that have potential to form a viable pregnancy and a live birth at the end of it. So it's a lot. It's very dynamic situation when you're in the lab, and obviously quality and our standards that we have are paramount. So it's very meticulous work, very precise, and obviously what we're dealing with are embryos and sperm, which are incredibly small. So there's a lot of microscopes and equipment that we have to maintain, and a lot of fine motor control with hands and making sure everything we do is very precise and counted correctly. So yeah, I don't know if that gives an overall view.
I think it does. And one of my follow-up questions is going to be, what are the characteristics of a good embryologist? And I think you kind of half answered that in there.
Yeah, like it's hard. I think everyone that works in embryology to a certain extent has OCD or a certain touch of it.
Nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it, no. We're very particular, precise. You obviously have to be able to count. So it's very much keeping track of things. Obviously, there's a lot of identifiers for patients that we have to keep track of. But I would say meticulous, attention to detail, teamwork cannot be underestimated. It's a very dynamic, moving situation. I'd compare it most likely to working in a busy kitchen where there's orders coming in and everyone has to work together. So it's very much working together to get all the processes working at the right times, because timing is essential. There's a lot of timers in the lab, things beeping, and because everything has to be done at particular time points. So yeah, that's how I would explain an embryologist.
Great analogy with the kitchen. And so we know what we think makes a good embryologist, what you just alluded to there. What makes a good lab? Aside from the people in it, and we acknowledge that that's integral and vital, what are the characteristics of a good laboratory?
I'd say a good laboratory, a lot of this comes down to quality management and oversight, and all the rules and regulations being followed to the T. So we have very strong, say, equipment maintenance, for example, strong procedures, so standard operating procedures, and ensuring that everyone that's trained in, because everyone, when they come to a new lab, qualified or otherwise as an embryologist, they have to adhere to the protocols that we have and implement. So ensure that training is performed very well, that the procedures in place are adhered to and are strong, that everything is the certifications that come obviously with culture media, that come with dishware and from IVF suppliers. So it's very tight regulation on that. So it's kind of all adhering to that, to traceability of tissues and cells. So that's our legislation that we adhere to. So it's making sure that we have full accountability, and every data is so important in that. So even performing our key performance indicators for our laboratory is our measure. So every single month we'll look at how the lab is performing, and that is a measure of our success, I guess. So as long as we keep a tight track on every single month how our performance is going in the lab, that's really what we look at.
And then just to illustrate that we do share transparently those success rates, and they are visible on our website. We compare ourselves to the UK. To
the HFEA, yeah. It's the only, in Ireland, fortunately, we don't yet have a countrywide database.
It's coming.
It's coming. But for the moment, we compare ourselves to the HFEA, which is the UK version of that, where it's obligatory to report in your results. So yeah, we're very transparent. We'll put our statistics and our outcomes, our clinical pregnancy rates on an annual basis. So at the moment, if you go on, you'll see the 2023 results. Yeah, so they're very strong, and it's something we're very proud of. So the lab gets such a kick out of, how many eggs fertilized, if the patient got pregnant, how many embryos to freeze or to transfer. So. And
I think that's wonderful. I think it was just about a week or two ago, we had a patient come into us, a former patient of ours, went on to have a baby, and one of the members of the lab who was responsible, who was for the insemination, the IVF insemination, it was one of her first inseminations after starting, came down and saw the baby, and just, that warmed my heart. That's just so cool, because it just shows how much they do care, and you often aren't having in touch with the patients.
It's very cute, like we're not patient facing as much, so most you tend to hear from us on the portal. We might pick up the phone and have a few conversations, but in general the lab is an embryologist, you may or may not see us, unless it's egg collection or transfer. So yeah, we don't get to know, unfortunately, our patients as well as others, but we're very much, keep track. So we might, like that, one of our embryologists did the insemination, knew that it was one of her babies, so she's really keen to go down and meet the baby that she had helped to conceive. But yeah, we will. When a baby comes in and visit, we'll look at which embryologist did the egg collection or the ICSI or the transfer, and yeah, it means a lot to us that we had a role to play in that, and it's lovely.
Perfect. Well, listen, as I said at the start, unsung heroes of the fertility world and the fertility business. Oftentimes I used to get asked what I did for a living, and you'd say I was an obstetrician, I was a gynecologist, and sometimes it sparks conversations you don't necessarily want to have when you're out in the world. So you used to say you were in manufacturing, because we're in the business of making things. What do you make? We make babies. But I don't make babies. They make babies. And I think that's really cool that they're the people who we have patients who are, when they're having embryo transfers, they'll look through the hatch into the lab and literally with wide eyes they'll go, it's magic in there. And it functionally is. It really is. And I think it's a privilege to be part of sharing that journey with patients, and to be working with people like yourself and the team, to be fair, who are just so passionate about what they do.
And it is. I think like that, what makes the lab function, embryology or IVF clinic, is the teamwork within an IVF lab. So we're blessed to have some amazing embryologists in the team, and they all different levels of experience and all the rest, but they all pull together and put in 100%. And it does take a lot to get that team kind of working well, and they're a gorgeous bunch of people, and they do put their heart into that every single day. So yeah, just to acknowledge the whole team as well. And if you do have a chance to come in and visit us and want to stick your head in and have a look through the window, you're more than welcome.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we'll always be happy to meet you.
Thank you very much for your time, Carol. And please celebrate World IVF Day, World Embryology, and our birthday in whatever way is most appropriate for you. Thank you.